Hi there. Welcome back. I'm here to do a layout for us. I've been really feeling the Tetractus spread, so I'm going to do another one of those today. And if you're interested in tarot layouts, look up the Tetractus spread. It's Tetra. It's based on geometry, basically, and there's sort of that history of people having a spiritual relationship with geometry called sacred geometry, and there's a group of people that were sort of deep into Pythagoras and saw him as a spiritual teacher as well as a mathematician, and the Tetractus is considered something like from sacred geometry, which is how it wound up becoming a tarot spread. So it's pretty interesting if you're into that. I was into that kind of stuff long before I even knew anything about sacred geometry. I have a good mind for math, but the world of work didn't really interest me in that. But my favorite math of all the maths was geometry, and it was kind of neat to find out later there was a mysticism associated with geometry that I didn't know about, but I've always been a little bit of a mystic. So anyways, this is just going to be a general Tetractus spread, and I also am going to talk a little bit at the end of the reading about a topic that is a little bit taboo in terms of Western medicine, and that's my discipline that I'm trained in. I am originally trained as a clinical social worker, so I'm trained in the Western method. And the Western method doesn't typically look at things in the paranormal when they're dealing with people coming to them for help. And so I wanted to talk a little bit at the end about feeling psychically attacked or cursed, and what you might be able to do, I guess, or even just to acknowledge that those kinds of things happen. There's a huge percentage of people in the world that believe in magic and believe in cursing and doing magic to get the things that you want from other people, for example, or to enact your revenge against someone who you feel has wronged you. There's a whole population in the world, probably in the millions, that believe in that kind of thing. So if you don't believe in that, this discussion's not going to be for you, and I'm not trying to convince you. And my approach is always going to be the Western method first. Like if someone was coming to me for talk therapy and expressing like I'm hearing things or I'm having, some symptoms that might be considered symptoms of being hexed, my first approach is not going to be to explore a hexing with them. It would be to look for psych reasons why someone might be feeling like that to begin with. That's just because that's the discipline I'm from. And I feel that's the responsible approach. But as a clinician, I'm open to paranormal. I'm open to things like ghosts and spirituality and helping people on that level as well. That's not my specialty, but it's something I'm open to. So I'm just going to talk about that at the end. And if that's a topic that interests you, stick around. But for now, this will just be a general Tetractus spread here with no intention. What's going to come out for the collective? How are you doing? What's important for you to know in the present? What's happening for you in the present? Wow, really nice. I'm glad it's this subject day for me as well to be talking about this, because these themes are coming out in this layout, so it's a good timing for me to address the topic. Lots of divine feminine energy here, lots of feminine polarity energy. So again, you might get tired of hearing this if you watch a lot of card readings, but when we're talking about feminine and masculine in tarot, usually the way that I'm discussing that is from energy polarity and not a literal gender expression of the person in question. Although sometimes it might come out really loud and clear and help just to help you know that the reading is for you, that this is about a woman, for example. But really, we're talking about energetic poles like the yin-yang polarity, light and dark polarity, solar and lunar polarity in our sort of system of the heavens, right? So there's a lot of divine feminine energy present here. So that's on your mind to a pretty significant degree. So the cornerstone for you at present is that you're feeling really tired. You're trying to make it to a finish line of some kind, or to a success or to the other side of a challenge or a problem, and you're really worn down and tired. The Ten of Wands is a card of wondering if you're going to make it and maybe being on the verge of giving up. Like, almost, you can think of something like giving up right before the breakthrough happens. That's the energy that's present. You may not be seeing clearly that there's about to be a breakthrough, but there is. What you know is that you're tired and ready to give up and don't want to keep going in the way things have been going. So that's the cornerstone energy for you. So I'm hoping this layout is going to help you know what to do, because you seem overwhelmed, like you feel overwhelmed. And what you think and what you know is a further echo of this. You're really in a time of being forced to rest and to recover from some type of challenge. And it's a disappointment of the heart. You're disappointed in your heart center. So this could be disappointment in love. And I think it is, because the very heart of this reading is the Two of Cups, which is a card of love relationships, often of romance. Sometimes it can be friendship, but here I'm looking at a sadness and love. So your main focus is that you're tired. You don't think you're going to make it, or you've kind of maybe given up on this relationship. There's a Three of Swords up here, so there's a lot of sorrow for you. There's a lot of feeling of disappointment and just needing to rest and recover. Like, that might be all you can really think about right now, is your healing and your recovery and the sorrow that you're feeling. It's really present here. So I'm sorry. I'm hoping this is going to reach you and that it's helpful. The facts that are happening, and again, it's clear that you've just come through a relationship challenge or are in the process of going through a relationship challenge. The facts are that you've had to stand your ground about something. So you've had to say no, or break up, or set a limit, or stick to your guns in a conflict in this relationship, or in a relationship. I'm assuming it's all one relationship we're discussing here, but we'll see as time goes on. So you've really had to stand your ground, and you're really feeling sorrowful and sad and in a need to recover. And the sense I'm getting is that you feel that by standing your ground, you're going to lose the relationship. You're pretty sad about that. And I can think of a myriad of ways that can happen. That comes up for a lot of people in relationships where codependency might be in play. Like, you might be afraid, if I really set a hard limit with this person I love around their substance abuse, they're just going to walk, because they're going to choose their substance over me, for example, even though you may know or feel in your mind and heart that that's not the right choice for them. You know, if you're someone who believes in empowerment, that's not your business what's right or wrong for someone else. What you know is that you're feeling like, I'm going to stand my ground and it's going to result in some disappointment for me, or that it already has, that I'm sad and I'm in a sorrowful place with this relationship because I'm standing my ground almost. The strength for you is a high priestess figure. So this might be you. You're a really powerful witch, basically, is what a high priestess is. A powerful feminine energy who's really dialed into the esoteric, into the spiritual world, and she works in service, either to people or to the spiritual principle that she's upholding in life. A high priestess is what you would imagine, like my most knowledge about things like priestesses, originally I've expanded it now, but in my earlier life was around Greek mythology. That's what really you learn in Western high schools and whatnot. And a high priestess would have been somebody like who lived at Athena's temple and did rites in worship of Athena, right? So something like that. This is your strength position. This could represent you, or it could represent someone around you. I don't know. I think you possibly is that you're a powerful feminine energy, and people better be careful messing with you because you know what you're doing. So that's kind of in play here. And the very heart of things is a love relationship. It's the Two of Cups. So against this first column of like real sorrow and disappointment and rest and recovery, your strength is that you are a really powerful person in your world and in your life. And your need to go within and rest is wise to be listening to. You're seeing clearly that your main focus should be resting and recovering from this disappointment, you also recognize that you need to stand your ground and that it's important to do that, even though the wisdom that is coming with that might be that it means a loss of the relationship, possibly. And it's the cuts right to the heart of this whole dynamic is love and the Two of Cups. So this person really is close to your heart that you're grieving over. And again, with the Ace of Pentacles, Ace of Cups in your, oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I reversed these two positions. So let me backpedal just a tiny bit. It's not going to change too much. This position right here, I reversed these two. This position here is your vulnerability. It's not your strength. So this is right in keeping with the theme of feeling hexed or cursed. Your vulnerability is a high priestess. So you might be suspecting or feeling worried about a powerful feminine energy in your life that you suspect might be acting against you in some way. That's what I'm feeling here. That's a way more click into place kind of vibe than what I was saying before. It was seeming confusing to me at first because I didn't pick up that you're the high priestess initially, so it threw me off. And that's why, because this is a vulnerability. So this is not, it could be you and that you're not trusting your instincts or what's coming through your third eye. That could be, but the sense I have more is that this is someone you don't trust or that you feel might be acting against you in some way. Your strength is the Ace of Cups, and that's your capacity for unconditional love and to keep operating in your own life from a heart-centered place and from an ethical place and from a place of standing your ground when you know what's important to you and you know that your ethics and your values are going to trump any desire for this relationship, for example, right? So it's just that knowing and staying in your heart. It can be a lonely road. Keeping to the high ground or not retaliating or not, doing things like that can often be lonely. We don't live in a world of people living that way in some ways, unless maybe you're part of a really devout spiritual community or something. Most of us living under capitalism and fast-paced living, we're not rewarded necessarily for just being in a heart-centered place all the time. Following your heart isn't necessarily a value in capitalism or capitalistic Western culture. It's a strength for you, though. And you understand that it's a strength. You understand that this is what you bring to the table and that it's a good quality. I have a feeling, though, that it's made you at present feel lonely, honestly. Like you're in the love alone is kind of what I'm sensing. But you recognize that the love is a strength. Intellectually, you understand that feeling from your heart is not a weakness. So that's present. But what's challenging you, though, is the devil energy or the kind of shadow side of this relationship is the sorrow. So you're really, really feeling bereaved about this whole thing to the point that it's dragging you down, and it may either not reflect reality or it may be that it's about time for you to release the sorrow, because the positive pole here of not the shadow but the sort of overt angelic conscious realm is the Death card. So even though this sorrow is maybe what you're keep being pulled into focusing on, the sorrow, the loss, the disappointment, the overwhelm, burden, need to stand your ground, the wise part of you is saying this is natural, this is important for your spiritual growth. It's a death in the Sufi concept of dying, like dying to yourself in order to shed your ego or in order to make a spiritual transition of ascension. If you're on a spiritual growth path towards ascension, your angel on your shoulder is telling you that this experience is going to benefit your spiritual growth. It's not an easy process, though. The Death card is a metamorphosis of discomfort. It's not a comfortable experience, and you're really in the thick of it. You're really purging a lot of sorrow about this relationship, and you have some uneasiness about someone around you is what I'm feeling. Where the energy is headed is the Empress, which is a beautiful energy of attracting something beautiful into your life. It could be a literal empress that you're attracting in. It could be that you're the Empress and you're about to attract in a whole new reality after you purge this loss and this sorrow. That could be. So give me some clarifiers now, please, about the High Priestess. Why is that a vulnerability position? What I'm picking up is that you're worried about this energy because it's in your vulnerability. Who is the High Priestess here? What is the worry about the High Priestess about here? Can we have some more information about that? I did have an intention after this layout to talk about hexing, and so that might be why this layout is coming out, because it's important. It may be thoughts that have crossed your mind, but that you're wondering about. What's with the High Priestess here? Yeah, she's a shadowy figure. You feel or are suspecting that someone is blocking you and blocking your progress and possibly keeping you in this stuck, fatigued, can't get to the finish line energy. And you're trying to defend yourself against that. That's what's coming out here. I didn't set an intention that this reading was going to be about an adversary, but somebody that feels adversarial to you is showing up here, and it's a vulnerability for you that's on your mind. It's the Judgment card here, the Seven of Swords, and the Hanged Man. So you're worried that somebody is acting against you. So it's going to lead right into this topic about hexing or cursing. What's important for you to understand about the Death card here is this. First of all, I don't want to have this, part of why I'm discussing this is to help people feel alleviated in their anxieties about somebody like this acting against them, because it can be scary. If that's a world that you identify with, to think that somebody might be hexing you is a scary thought. It can feel frightening, and that lends power to the hex, right? So tell me more about this Death card here. Is there anything you should be worried about in terms of this Metamorphosis card? Your strength is that you have the power of unconditional love and the power of your heart kind of protecting you against this, is what I'm feeling. That this person acting from a negative place or toxic energy, a theft of your resource or your energy or whatever it is. It could be like an energy vampire. It could be somebody that's hexing you. It could be somebody that's just behaving in a toxic way towards you and blocking you, like an adversary. Your strength that's protecting you from that and that will continue to protect you is the Ace of Cups energy, which is an energy of unconditional love. It's like the highest form of love. When you're operating from a place like that, you're protected. And that's helpful to know about something like feeling like someone might be hexing you. You sometimes hear people, like I've seen it on an episode of Psychic Kids, where kids will learn to surround themselves with divine white light, and that's a way to help protect them and their energy against entities in the spirit world that have a negative agenda or a desire to cause harm to people. Tell us about the Death card here. What is important for you to understand about it? A new world. So that's not surprising. We just said that. The Death card is like a metamorphosis card. So you're going to be stepping into a new world here. It's a passionate world. It's really charging you up and having a lot of rushing Knight of Wands. That's kind of a sexual energy, honestly. A new world, a new life. And this is a breakthrough energy compared to all the stuck energy down here. A Knight of Wands is lended strength by a Seven of Wands. So a new world that you're breaking through this old pattern is what's represented here by this Death card. And then the Seven of Pentacles. So you're going to step out of this feeling of being stuck and blocked in this dynamic and into a reality that's a new life with the Knight of Wands, where you're going to have a lot of options. So I hope that's reassuring to you. If you are the Knight of Wands, you're going to have to check your motives before you go rushing into dealing with others. That's important for you to understand. With a Knight of Wands. Knights of Wands are impulsive. That's their vulnerability. So as you step out of this stuck energy and into the new reality, once you are done purging the grief, you're going to have a lot of options, and that's coming with a responsibility. What about this Empress in the outcome? The Empress is a really healthy divine feminine energy. Really beautiful for attracting in the things that you want. Tell me about this Empress. Interesting. So the Empress card was just clarified by the Devil, the Eight of Swords, and the King of Pentacles. So what I'm guessing for you, because this Eight of Swords came in the reverse here next to this Devil, and I'm selective about when I read a reversal. It's kind of intuitive for me, and this reversal is an intuitive reversal that I'm reading. So it's like breaking through what has you stuck into a really abundant place with a King of Pentacles. There's a little bit of Devil energy, though, to watch out for. Tell me more about the Devil energy in the Empress and King of Pentacles. What's that about? What's the Devil mean here? Might be a warning about all these options you're going to have. You might be tempted to indulge all of them. Yeah. It's an Emperor in the reverse. So I can't quite get a handle on whether you're the feminine here or you're the masculine in this relationship. And again, what I mean is energy poles. It doesn't necessarily represent gender expression. There's still going to be a little bit of like motives here that are, you're going to have to keep yourself in check is kind of what I'm feeling. You're going to break through some of this, but you may still be in like kind of a vengeful energy or a player energy with this Knight of Wands, where suddenly you might find yourself from going from a stuck position into like where now you have a ton of options. This Devil and this Knight of Wands here and this Emperor in reverse is like, you're going to be so abundant that you're really going to have to keep yourself in check, because if you don't want to perpetuate hurt, you don't want to be leading with your wand here. And I mean that sexually, from like sexual impulse and sexual gratification and having a lot of options and a lot of gluttonous options almost. A King of Pentacles with an Emperor in reverse and this blocked Devil energy, you're going to be vulnerable to breaking through so hard from this time of being blocked that you might go kind of hog wild. So what should you understand then about this time and this relationship? Because you're about to attract in some really great things as you shed the sorrow and the blocked elements of this High Priestess or this toxic dynamic in love. You're going to be then vulnerable to repeating what was just done to you. That's what I'm figuring out. So this reading is almost like a little bit of a warning, or that this person's toxic energy that they've been using to block you might have kind of rubbed off on you almost, right? So that's what's going to lead us into the hexing conversation, I think, is about something like dealing with a narcissist. And we'll go more into that here in a minute. So what's going to be some takeaways for you about this relationship as you transition out of the sorrow and the feeling blocked by the relationship? Your strength is the unconditional love that you have access to. But your vulnerability is that you're not going to access it when you break through this stuck pattern. Your vulnerability is repeating the pattern by going into toxic energy yourself and attracting more toxic people like this person was. That's what I'm picking up here. What's the advice for you then? What should you do to avoid that? What do you need to understand about this? It's going to feel good to know that this is about to break through. You're not going to be in this sorrow much longer. You're a little bit fixated on it, and I think that's why you're vulnerable to then acting from a negative place yourself once you break through the stuck energy, because the sorrow is like pervading your thoughts, and that's coming through. Come to the edge. So that's the first card in the reverse. This is advice for you about how to manage this energy. Come to the edge. It's card number 36 and it's in the reverse. which is usually the cautionary position. Fear is leading the way into places you don't need to go. Most of what you fear at the moment is an illusion stemming from an old belief that isn't even true. Now is the time for courage. You will not be lost at sea. You will not watch everyone else get what you want while you are left alone and unloved. Oh, the drama of it. Yeah, in fact, it's saying the opposite. You're going to have so many options, you're going to be vulnerable to indulging too much. False evidence appearing real is hovering over you. The more you dwell on fear, the more real it will become. Ask yourself, what in me is afraid? Love that part of you. That's your vulnerability and that's your strength. So you started fearing that this person is acting in a toxic way against you or doing stuff actively to harm you. This ex, I think, you're worried about it. False evidence appearing real is hovering over you. The more you dwell on fear, and we talked about how fear can then strengthen the hex, right? Or the hex energy. The more real it will become. Ask yourself, who in me is afraid? Love that part of you. That's your strength, that Ace of Cups energy. Love the part of you that's fearful right now. Ask, is this true and real? The answer most likely is no. So no one really has the power to destroy you like this unless you're so passive that you're just allowing it to happen. That's something that I wanted to convey too as we get more into talking about hexing, which is the empowerment that you need to understand about something like that is that you have the power to protect yourself from people acting that way. We all do. You don't need to be a witch or somebody who's like a warlock or whatever. Like we just said with those Psychic Kids episodes, like psychic tools that kids use who have access to their third eye are picturing themselves surrounded by divine white light, and that's all it takes. It's like quantum entanglement or quantum physics almost. You the power of your thoughts and your visualizations can protect you from stuff like this. Give yourself a hug. It's okay to be scared. Courage must be summoned. In spite of your fear, even when you're not feeling confident, spirit will always catch you. So the risk to you is that if you indulge the fear, you'll fall right back into the same pattern. That's the power of fear. So challenging that this person has the power to destroy you, they don't. Challenging that this sorrow is never going to alleviate, it will. And in fact, you're gonna be vulnerable to how much it breaks through. So your power is to stay connected to your heart and allow yourself to go through this change and challenge the fear so that you don't repeat the pattern that's coming through crystal clear. What other advice here? Here and now. It's nice. And you have the sense maybe that you need to just focus on your healing right now. But I don't know. Let's see what this says. It's card 32. It's easy. I'm going to read relationship because the relationship came out here, but I'll read the other ones too. It's easy to yearn for a love affair or friendship you may not have right now. One that is more romantic, more fun, more reliable, more passionate. The good old days are gone and a new day has dawned. Let your heart trust that you have everything you need right now, whether you have the relationship you desire or not. Tomorrow is beyond your reach. Yesterday cannot return. The now is all that is available to you. Stay present and aware that in this moment, as you cherish and approve of your beautiful self, this Ace of Cups, you are a magnet for love. Spirit is madly in love with you right now. Did you know that? Turn to spirit to feel the joy of love in the here and now. So that's your advice for how to deal with the fears over this relationship and this toxic person. What I'm picking up here is that the ending of a relationship that had a toxic impact in your life is in play. Either it's about to end or you're in process of ending it. And you have fear. You have fear that this person, it might be that you're ending a relationship with someone who was abusive. And you have anxiety about the level of power to mess with your reality this person is going to have. It's saying it's an illusion. This person may have the power to inflict some damage, but they're not going to destroy you. They're not going to thwart your future. Just trust that if you're staying in the here and now, and maintaining a connection to your heart and your own ethics and your own higher power, whatever that is, you're going to come through this just fine. So I'll pull one more of my cards just to see, ending that before I transition into talking about hexing or cursing. Anything else that'll be useful for you to know as you try to heal this relationship or heal from the ending of this relationship? It's pretty sorrowful. Some real damage was done here in terms of feeling really worried that you're never going to be able to overcome it, honestly. That's not a happy place to be. So I hope this is going to help reassure you that you're actually going to break through into such abundance that you're going to have to watch out that you don't repeat the cycle that you just are breaking through by attracting somebody else who's toxic, right? Triangulation is impacting the relationship. So that yearning, there might be that you're yearning for someone else. And that's part of why this person has been acting against you. I don't know, but there's a triangle here. So that's important to be aware of. Are you receiving the same level of devotion that you offer? My sense is no, that you've realized you're not, and that it's really been a sorrowful realization for you that no matter how much you gave in this relationship, it wasn't enough. And maybe they're the ones that stepped out. Maybe the triangle is not on your side. Maybe it's on theirs. In any case, there's a third party involved. Be wise as the serpent and gentle as the dove. So you don't want to indulge your fear. You want to stay above your fear into the wisdom of knowing that you can grow from an experience like this and it can transform into a form of abundance that's going to blow your mind, possibly, and that you're going to have to watch out not to repeat. It's going to require discipline from you. That's the main takeaway here. Being wise as the serpent and gentle as the dove is highly disciplined. That's a highly disciplined way of managing your energy, right? It's staying connected to your heart while also recognizing that there's a devil present, right? The devil's afoot. So anyways, that now leads me into a conversation about hexing, and I'm just going to wing it here a little bit. And the reason I even decided to bring it up is because I've had an experience personally of coming to realize that someone was acting against me in that way. And before that happened, I wasn't even really, for much of my life, I didn't believe in that kind of thing. First of all, I didn't believe it was possible. Then as I started going on my own spiritual path and learning about pagan witchcraft traditions and learning about hedge witchery and plants and all that, I came to believe that it's possible. And part of why I believe in it is because of concepts like quantum physics and quantum mechanics and quantum entanglement. And even if you don't believe in that kind of thing, if you've ever had a close experience with someone who is a narcissist or behaves very narcissistically, you know that that kind of energy can have a very lasting and traumatizing impact for you, even if the person is no longer in your life. So that's another way of looking at the same kind of hexing concept, is that if someone who's narcissistic, and in this layout in particular, you're worried about someone who has those qualities, who's manipulative, who's blocking you, who may be acting against you in really calculated ways is what you're fearing. I had an experience with a person like that, who I believe was a covert narcissist. I didn't realize that at first, but it was someone who right away I felt a little bit weird about their energy. Like I just didn't click with them, but I dismissed it because I was in a different place in my life and I was not trusting my instincts, and I was thinking something must be wrong. Like, why am I judging this person, right? So I really ignored the part of me that didn't like them because other people seemed to really like them. And so I thought, well, I need to get over whatever my little issue is and work to form a better feeling towards this person. Well, it was a mistake. My instincts were right, and they were steering me to avoid this person, but I ignored them. And they ended up, it's like they're my hater almost, right? I think they're still, I don't have any contact with them anymore, but I think they're still doing stuff like this. And the first way that I knew was that I had a very significant injury a severe injury that required surgery, and that was a surprise startle surgery that required me to think quickly and give myself first aid for 24 hours until I could get medical care. It was a big deal. And I'm not going to go into super details about the injury, but there was all kinds of stuff leading up to the energy that now I understand was spell work. I was in a feeling of enchantment and entrancement. I was out in nature. I was not in my body. I was somewhere else. I was having this, and if you hear people talk about kind of the dark side of the fairy folk or the fae, they'll do things like that, like enchant you to stumble into an alternate realm, right? Or something like that. So anyways, I had this experience immediately before my injury. I sustained the injury. And as I was recovering from the injury and standing up and trying to recognize, like, you just broke your wrist, I could feel the person's energy around me. I could feel her angry face. I could feel her. Again, I dismissed it. I decided, that's crazy. You're crazy. You're paranoid. You've got a real issue with this person for reasons you're not clear on. Get those ideas out of your mind. So again, I dismissed it. Then, going on about my life, this person had a narcissistic rage against me for two reasons. One was romantic. There was a triangle involved. Two was they had some envy for me, and they felt rejected by me, because at some point when I started realizing I didn't want to be around them, I just made kind of a clean break. I didn't have like a discussion. I just distanced myself. And I think they perceived that as like a rejection or a judgment on them. And that really activated their rage against me also. And I honestly think it's still present, and I can still feel it sometimes. After the injury, and I felt her hovering around me, then fast forward like maybe another year or so, and I was having unexplained weight loss. I couldn't figure out why I was losing so much weight. I was becoming like skin and bones, right? And I've always struggled a little bit with a fast metabolism and losing my appetite when I'm stressed out. So at first I was not really tuned into it. I thought it was something like that, but it just kept happening. And I was like, why don't I want to eat? Like, what is wrong with me? There wasn't anything wrong medically. Again, I started feeling, and I had a couple visions during meditation that confirmed for me that this person was using black magic, that this is somebody who really wanted me to be blocked in my efforts. And this is coming through here. So part of the reason I'm feeling like I was even guided to do this whole thing is because you may be like me, where believing in something like that was really hard for you to get your mind around, but it keeps cropping up in your thoughts, and you keep wondering, like, is the reason I'm having all these problems because this person is acting against me in this way? Like, I again didn't believe it. When I saw those things in my mind's eye, it just seemed so crazy to me. I was like, why would anyone ever focus on me that much? I'm not that important. Like, why wouldn't someone just go about their, like, I still was a little bit naive about narcissism and what can happen when you cross paths and get entangled with someone who's a covert narcissist, which is what happened to me. So I started having this unexplained weight loss, and I'm like, what's this about? The worst of it, when I finally realized there's something deeper going on, was I started having my home invaded by insects. And I mean really invaded. This is when I got scared. This is when the fear started to overtake me and I didn't know what to do. Luckily, I had a couple people in my life that I could confide in about it who believed in stuff like this, including my folk magic teacher. And so I went to them, confided in them, got the validation I needed, because it was really, really scary. A huge swarm of flies that materialized overnight in my home. It was fucking terrifying. The rational explanation is that a rat probably crawled in and died in the wall, and then and then that's what happened. But it happened 2 times. My home was invaded with flies, which is terrifying because there was no rational explanation for it for a while, other than these thoughts. This was the only thing I could think that was making sense. And ants. Flies and ants were literally invading my home. I'm a really clean person. I'm almost like, I could not figure out what was happening. The flies was the final where I was like, this is real. You need to stop being in denial about it. Somebody is using dark magic against you. Whether you believe in it or not, it's happening. You're in a quantum entanglement in person. Let's say they're not even with this person. Let's say they're not even doing it, and it's just the images that came to your mind. Just their narcissistic energy, that rage and hatred being directed at you, has its own form of energy. And so once I accepted this is really going on, I got entangled with a covert narcissist somehow, and I didn't catch on for quite a while that they were doing this, but they had this hatred and competitive energy for me. They started doing stuff like this. Maybe they didn't. In fact, I kind of had this intuitive understanding that they may not have even really believed in it, but they hated me so much that they were like, I'm going to do it anyways, because it's a way, it was like a way for her to act on her rage in a secretive way that nobody would, she didn't think would catch on to. The risk for me in even talking about it now is that she might be seeing this video at some point and know that I'm talking about her. What I decided this morning was that I've already recognized months ago that she really has no power over me. I learned how to protect myself energetically. I learned how to remove the toxic energy that she had attached to me. It took a while because it had been going on for a while without unchecked, without me believing it. I kept dismissing it when I should have listened to my intuition and just done it. Just said, I don't know if I believe in this, but I need help. I think someone might have cursed me or hexed me. I wish I would have listened because I had a lot of intuitive guidance telling me that that's what was going on that I didn't listen to because I didn't believe it. I thought it was paranoid. I thought something was wrong with me for thinking that. So the final message I want to say about it is I do think that this person still harbors this rage towards me, but I'm protected. Once I clued into it, I started doing everything I could to protect myself, and I'm not going to list that all here. That's my power to keep to myself. I'm not an advisor. I don't teach other people how to protect themselves. My goal, if someone came to me wanting help for that, would be to refer them to somebody else who is a way more experienced practitioner. But you can learn how to do it yourself. You can do your own research. You don't have to go to someone to have it removed. You don't need to fall into you have to go pay someone over and over and over again to keep them protecting you. That's a scam, right? You can learn how to protect your own energy. You might want to consult with someone about how or do research online, but you can do it for yourself. That's what I did. I went to my teacher to consult with her to think if she thought what I was thinking was crazy or not. She, of course, didn't. She knows. I think she knew right away as soon as I was conversing with her about it that it was real. So going to her was more like validation for me. I found my own answers about how to protect myself. There's another topic maybe for another time, and that is the spiritual law of returns. And you're really a fool if you think you're going to be practicing in dark magic and then that can't come back to you, because it can. You really need to know what you're doing. Really need to know what you're doing. And there's a lot of different thought about whether you should send it back if someone's sending you that kind of toxic curse or hex energy, or whether you should just try to neutralize it, right? I'm of two minds, so I'll just leave it there. But you can absolutely protect yourself, and you don't need to go to someone and pay someone. That might be a quicker way to do it, but there's all kinds of little ways that you can learn how to protect and shield your own energy so that somebody like this can't penetrate and start causing the damage that this person caused. And it was at its worst when I was the most fearful. So that's what this message is saying also, is that you need to get this fear managed, because whatever hex or narcissistic energy they're directing at you is feeding on that fear. So trust that you can protect yourself. Trust that you can do things like smudge. That came up in my last layout. You are really, the person who the reading was for was really being guided to smudge themselves regularly and keep their energy clear. That's just one example of how you can do it. In my case, because I let it go on for a long time, it took a while. It wasn't just an overnight, suddenly I felt safe from the person. It took a lot of effort on my part. And maintenance, honestly, excuse me, because I feel like they're still acting against me at times. So I'm not worried about her little self. She's not a match for me, honestly. I don't know if she knows that, but I hope in some ways that she sees this so she knows that she's not and that I'm onto her, because I don't know if she knows that either. So I've been onto her for a while. So anyways, I don't have a way. Oh yeah, I do. I still have that remote. I was thinking I was going to have to come turn this off, but I think I can still stop my recording with this little remote. So thank you for being here. Thank you for liking and subscribing and watching. And thank you for your patience with my little hex talk there. I'll see you next time. Shoot. Here we go. Go ahead, video. I guess it's not going to work. I'll have to get up and turn it off up there. Thank you for being here. I'll see you soon.